Dennis here, and ready to do episode 4 of The Straw Man. We'll be working on The Protector. If you've been following along, you know I'm the author of Men Raised by Women, and one of the pieces that we cover is a scenario in what we call the straw man, when the mom is working on responsibilities and she starts to have to get somebody else to help share things. There's 5 big components that are at issue: the protector, the provider, the companion, a co-parent, and the partner for the head. And so really the way we flesh it out is anytime she shares any of those responsibilities with her son that's detrimental to him, that harms him, that works against his development. Today we're on episode 4 and we're talking about the protector. So we're just going to jump right in. If you aren't caught up with us, you can cycle through my feeds and you can go down and find the ones that cover the other topics we've already worked on. So we're just going to jump in so we won't be before you long. I want to encourage you to get a copy of Men Raised by Women. Those of you that already have, please don't forget to leave a review on Amazon. And at the end, we'll also be talking about some other things. So let's jump right into it. I want to acknowledge that the moms are out there doing the best they can. And so all the stuff that I pull together is never a smackdown or a slap. It's really some additional help, some additional tools. The stepdads that reach out to me, these are additional helps, additional tools. The families that are working on these issues. This is not a critical assessment of how you're doing. This is reality-based effort to help you figure out some of the things that are really hard for you to figure out, and you're in it. It's hard for you to see a lot of things that you're in sometimes. You're in it. And so what happens when the mom allows, or in the single-parent household, the boy tries to become the protector? Sounds like a good idea sometimes. Some of these boys are big. 6'2", 220 pounds. He's on the football team. He's playing basketball, hockey, all these different things. The protector. It's a natural inclination for a male. Happens when he starts feeling himself sometimes. His aggression, his testosterone, his body gets to where he could do something about something that he doesn't like. But I want to talk to you first about some of the attributes that start emerging in that, and then some of the dangers and some of the problems that follow up out of that. Let's think about a protector. He wants to protect your household. He wants to protect the family, siblings. You might have shared that with him. One of the things that happens with a protector, to do any job as a protector, you have to have authority. So think about a police officer. He has to have authority. The military, they have to have authority. Authority to go do what they need to do. Now, in a household, that starts working against the parental authority. He needs to be able to set rules and set limitations and set behavior and decide when something must be done instead of going by what your rules are. Doesn't sound too foul yet, but it begins to migrate into other areas, because if he starts having to feel that he wants to or needs to protect you, then he starts feeling like he needs to say something or think something or have an opinion about how you do things. And so now he's starting to take responsibility for not just his own life, but your life. And we're starting to get into the unhealthy parts and the pieces. He's starting to take responsibility for your life. How does that flesh out? We'll see that in a second. The other part, right, a lot of men come to me, and some of the discussions we had and some of the things we've seen, they also resist the new men in your life. If he's part your protector and companion, you can actually see in some of these boys what we call a form of jealousy, right? This is the emergence of what we call the psychological husband, when he's got this kind of connection to you, and it's far-reaching and it's beyond healthy, and it desires authority in your life to be able to tell you what you should and shouldn't be doing, to be able to tell siblings what they should and shouldn't be doing. He hasn't earned that right. He hasn't suffered. He hasn't built that. He's just doing it because it was allowed in his life. You've got to not allow that. It's unhealthy for him. It's unhealthy when he gets out into his adult life so that he's still worried about how mom dates. He's still worried about who mom dates. He's got something to say about it. And he almost will try to parent you, and you'll find yourself in struggles and conversations based on that. The wives that date these men are constantly having to deal with them trying to still parent and lord and fix and keep tabs on what's happening with their mom. All this builds out of those parts and pieces still laid out and connected with the him trying to be your protector. And so it's hard for him to leave you. Remember that. It's hard for him to leave you, which when we're raising children, one of our primary goals is they be self-sufficient citizens on their own, doing what's right, doing what they need to do, and move on. But it's hard for him to leave you. He's attached. He's concerned. He's worried, and he cannot figure it out at the age of his maturity. And so all he does is attach and try to man the wall and try to stop any of the things that are happening. And he's not equipped for it, which again starts contributing to his insecurity, which starts generating bad choices, which when we see the guys trying to be protector and provider, we start seeing guys that would overcome their moral limits and do things illegal to try to make money, right? They'll go into dealing drugs. They'll go into moving meth. They'll go into all these different things because they can overcome it, their moral limitations. That's why I see so many folks that are like, I raised him in church. Yeah, but you put a demand on him that stressed him so strongly, he felt that he had to. And when I talked with guys, when I used to counsel in prison, when I used to volunteer there, one of the major ways they explained this, and they would say it. They'll say it, and I heard it a lot. Well, I just did what I had to do. So you hear that language. He felt like he had to do it. He had to. That is a responsibility, an obligation. That is a burden that's on his heart. And so it's hard for him to leave. He'll be monitoring your relationships, and he will struggle to have another household. Even if he does get out and go marry, he'll struggle because he'll be trying to deal with yours, and that wife and that other household won't have full priority like she is supposed to have. She's supposed to have. He's supposed to be able to go over there. When you get aged and up in years, he can come back then, but not your whole life. He shouldn't be trying to do that. And so that's some of the stuff we want to be undoing. Remember, I told you, Men Raised by Women helps you target things that are not situated well for his development, and you can undo it. So undo that and begin to build on it. And then pay attention, log on, and I want to encourage you. I have a webinar coming up. I'm going to try to launch it tomorrow, Tuesday. You can look on my page and see the link. I'll try to repost it so it's easy to find. So register for the webinar, and then get Men Raised by Women so you can do the foundational piece. I'll keep these rolling so you can talk about this, but the next piece really is what to do when we talk about the recipe for manhood. We'll roll through the solutions. You don't just need to identify a problem. You have to have a solution if you're really going to get something done. And so you need these solutions. I'm putting them out here for us so we can get through these things. Parenting and correcting issues with boys is a long-term approach. If you want to solve something with a boy, it's long-term because boys are adapters, right? They will shape and change and try to get around, not trying to have responsibility. They'll adapt. The trick is, and the trigger is, to get them and force them to grow instead of just adapting. So think about that. That's a meaningful piece that we came across in the studies, and it makes a difference. I'm John Dennis, Get Men Raised by Women. Register for the webinar, and I'll see you online. See you back again next Monday at 1 p.m. for your next update. Hope that was short enough.